If you're crossing an ocean in a catamaran, most of what gets marketed as blue water capable won't actually hold up. There's a massive gap between boats that look good at the dock and boats that will genuinely get you across an ocean safely. That gap comes down to a handful of specific design decisions, and most production catamarans get them wrong. I want to walk through the catamarans I'd actually trust with a long ocean passage. Not the fastest or most expensive. The ones where every choice assumes that eventually you'll be in weather you didn't plan for, and the boat needs to get you through it. 6 criteria actually separate boats that work offshore from boats that only claim to. Bridge deck clearance, how much space between water and platform. Slamming doesn't just annoy you, it fatigues structure and destroys sleep. Structural stiffness, so gust energy goes into forward motion, not flexing the platform. Energy autonomy, running essential systems without diesel generators, which fail constantly on offshore boats. Short-handed sailing, a couple managing every line from the helm without going forward. Stability that works in gales. And honest performance numbers, not charter fantasies. Now let me walk through the boats that get these right. The Natech 44 Open gives you what most catamarans hide. Real feedback. Twin aft helms with mechanical connection to the rudders mean you feel gusts loading the boat. Feel the rudder bite. Feel the hull accelerate. That's not luxury, it's information. Offshore, information keeps you alive. Closed-cell foam infusion makes it virtually unsinkable. Hull breach, the foam stops catastrophic flooding. Upwind in 15 knots, you're seeing 6.8 to 9.1 knots. Downwind, 19. The real insight is a dedicated multifunctional forward space for maintenance work, separate from living areas. On long passages, you're constantly fixing lines and canvas. That separation matters. Navigation station faces forward, not aft. Rare, valuable. You want charts and weather routing ahead of you during ocean passages. Light displacement rewards actual sailing. The Seawind 1370 is simplicity. No dagger boards. Fixed mini-keels instead. Fewer systems to break at 3 a.m. when wind builds. Bridge deck clearance at 838 mm is excellent. Less slamming, less noise. Drier ride in heavy conditions. Galley up keeps the cook part of the watch, not isolated below. The 71-foot aluminum rig sits farther aft than most competitors to reduce pitching. That hobby-horsing motion that makes people sick and fatigues structures. Owners who've crossed the Atlantic consistently highlight one thing: the ability to heave to effectively. When you need to stop fighting the ocean and park safely, Seawind does it. That's a survival feature no spec sheet shows. The Ultramar 45 is built on a principle. Speed is safety. Faster passages outrun weather, reach shelter before storms, shorten exposure time and crew fatigue. Engineered for 2 people, every line, control and sail function centralized at the helm. That's not convenience, it's safety architecture. Vine-Lester barrier coating with solid fiberglass below the waterline handles impacts. Foam sandwich above reduces weight. Self-tacking foresail simplifies upwind sailing. The sail moves itself instead of grinding jib sheets. Daggerboards give you superior upwind pointing and the ability to raise boards in downwind gales to prevent tripping and rolling. Light displacement at 8,200 kilos. This boat crosses oceans without pretending to be a floating hotel. The Balance 442 comes from South African design. Equilibrium between performance and livable comfort. Bridge deck clearance at 818 mm is among the highest in its class. Waves pass underneath instead of slamming the platform. Less slamming means less noise, less fatigue, actual sleep. The Versa helm pivots from upper maneuvering position for visibility to lower protected cockpit for shelter during long watches. Owners cite this as the single biggest fatigue reducer on transoceanic passages. And fatigue, not waves, not wind, fatigue is what kills you offshore. Vacuum-infused fiberglass with carbon reinforcements. The XP goes full carbon, increasing stiffness to weight ratio. Stiff boats are quiet boats. Quiet boats are fast because energy goes into motion, not structural deformation. The Katana 53 is specialization. Carbon infusion with Tweron, an aramid fiber cousin to Kevlar, layered into the hull, removes nearly a full ton of weight compared to predecessors. 1 ton, that's a small car. Owners describe it moving like a train, stiff, steady, even in heavy squalls. No twisting, no flexing, no complaining. Maxi hulls and flush interior design create a great room concept that feels significantly larger than the length suggests. Twin outboard helms give clear rig and sail visibility, but they're more exposed. You trade shelter for helm feel. The bridge deck starts farther aft to minimize pounding. That's crucial. The farther aft it begins, the less surface area to catch waves. Displacement to length ratio of 97. For sailors wanting a thoroughbred that's still livable long-term, Katana 53 is proven. The Balance 482 is the balance philosophy at its sweet spot. This is the boat that owners who've actually completed transoceanic passages return to as the most livable performance catamaran on the water. Same Versa helm, same obsession with stiffness, but scaled up for real-world ocean-crossing reality. Light displacement, 11,315 kilos, maximum 15,000 kilos. That 3,685 kilo payload delta is where actual ocean crossing lives. You're not crossing light, you're loaded with fuel, water, provisions, spare parts, tools, accumulated gear. The 482 carries that without losing performance. Fuel capacity, 800 litres, water, 780 litres. Twin 57 horsepower Yanmars cruise at 7 to 8 knots on one engine, extending range for the doldrums. Solar exceeds 1,000 watts. Lithium battery bank, 800 amp hours at 24 volts. You run water makers, refrigeration, instruments, navigation without starting a generator. This boat doesn't ask you to choose between comfort and speed. It delivers both. The Ultramare 52 is the new benchmark. VPLP design refining lessons from the 51 and 55. Structural weight-saving technology originally from gunboat allows larger glass surfaces and visibility without compromising rigidity. More glass usually means more flex, not here. Structural loads bypass the glazing and flow through composite framework. Modular interior in the port-forward cabin, workshop, office, dressing room or storage depending on phase of voyage. Caribbean dive gear locker, Med children's room. Atlantic sail repair workshop. 3-position helm swings from upper maneuvering to lower protected cockpit for long watches. Cruises at 8 knots at 2,500 RPM with twin diesels. Fuel 540 litres, water 430. Displacement to length ratio 89.5. The Ultramare 52 is for sailors who believe the fastest passage is the safest passage. The data supports that belief. The HH44 is a fundamental rethink. Full pre-preg carbon fibre construction. Carbon sheets pre-impregnated with resin in factory-controlled environment, cured under heat and pressure in autoclave. Fibre-to-resin ratio that hand layup cannot match. Maximum strength, minimum weight, maximum stiffness. Light displacement 9,500 kilos for a 44-footer with usable space of a 48. The game changer is Eco-Drive Hybrid, twin 10-kilowatt electric motors piggybacking on diesel engines for silent, fume-free motoring at 7 knots. Hydro regeneration. While sailing, free-spinning propellers act as generators, feeding energy into 43.2 kilowatt-hour lithium battery bank. Solar up to 4,232 watts integrated into coach roof. You run air conditioning, water makers, induction stoves, navigation electronics without ever starting a genset. Eliminating the genset eliminates one of the most common offshore failure points. That's not just ecological, it's operational resilience. C-shaped carbon dagger boards reduce displacement at speed, improving VMG, velocity made good, the metric that actually matters. Folding transoms create secure enclosed cockpit at sea, open swim platforms at anchor. Everything serves two purposes. Nothing is decorative. The Balance 526 is the balance philosophy pushed to its logical extreme. Light displacement, 12,200 kilos for a 52-footer. Extraordinarily light. In 12 knots of breeze, this boat sails at 13 to 14 knots while remaining manageable by a couple. Upwind sail area, 157 square meters. Sail area to displacement ratio 36.0, the highest here by significant margin. This boat doesn't need an engine in anything above 8 knots of wind. Shorter passages, less fuel, arriving ahead of weather instead of behind it. Bridge deck clearance 860 millimeters, the highest on this list. Heavy offshore conditions. That clearance means the difference between rough, slamming, sleep-depriving nights and smooth, quiet passages where waves pass underneath. XP version uses all-carbon construction, pushing stiffness to weight ratio into racing territory. Carbon means silence. Gusts go into sails and foils, not platform flexing. Rigging stays in tune. Forestay stays taut. Daggerboards maintain angle. Master Suite has the largest head and shower of any performance cat in its class. You don't sacrifice living for sailing. You don't sacrifice sailing for living. The Garcia Explicat 52 is different. Every other boat here is composite. Fiberglass, carbon, Kevlar, foam cores. The Explicat is marine-grade aluminium. That single choice changes everything about its relationship with the ocean. Collision with semi-submerged objects isn't theoretical offshore, it's statistical. Containers fall off ships. Logs drift for thousands of miles. In composite hulls, impact at speed means catastrophic puncture. In aluminium hulls with plate thicknesses from 5 to 14 millimeters, the metal deforms, dents, but doesn't shatter or crack. That's the difference between plastic fracture absorption and plastic deformation. Watertight aluminum bulkheads at bow and stern. Breach means you isolate the damaged compartment and maintain buoyancy. Naval architecture from commercial ships, not yachts. Protected propellers behind aluminum fins. Losing one to fishing nets or lines in the Indian Ocean is not inconvenience, it's crisis. Bridge deck clearance 850 millimeters. Displacement 18,900 kilos at medium load. Yes, significantly heavier than carbon boats, but that weight is armor. For high-latitude sailing, Patagonia, Greenland, Kerguelen Islands, armor is what you want. Heavy insulation prevents condensation and maintains internal temperature in freezing conditions. Southern Ocean survival, not comfort. Forward cockpit is second living area in tropics and safe vantage for navigating icebergs in exploration mode. And here's what makes it number one. It can be beached on its keels. Dry out, inspect bottom, repair in places where the nearest boatyard is 1,000 miles away. Toughness means serviceability when infrastructure doesn't exist. The Explicat isn't the fastest, lightest, or most technologically advanced, but it's the boat I'd trust with my life in places where the ocean doesn't care about your brochure, solar panels, or carbon fiber. It's built to go anywhere and come back. Here's what separates these from charter catamarans and comfort cruisers in every warm water anchorage. Speed is safety. Every boat here maintains high average speeds. Shorter passages mean less weather exposure, less crew fatigue, less gear wear. That matters for survival. Bridge deck clearance. Experienced offshore designers suggest approximately 760 millimeters for a 45-footer, scaling with beam. Every boat here meets or exceeds that. Slamming isn't discomfort. It's violent vertical acceleration that fatigues composites, loosens hardware, destroys sleep. Structural stiffness. When a gust hits, energy either goes into forward motion or into twisting the platform. Carbon fiber and advanced layup ensure energy goes where you need it. Stiff boats are silent in seaways. No creaking, no groaning, just motion. Energy autonomy. Ocean crossing requires self-sustaining systems. Boats here carry serious solar and lithium banks. They run water makers, refrigeration, navigation, air conditioning without gensets. Eliminating gensets eliminates one of the most common offshore failures. Short-handed capability. Every boat here works for 2 people. All lines reach the helm. Electric winches handle loads. Dual autopilots because losing one to failure isn't inconvenience, it's emergency. Stability that works. In multi-hulls, stability comes from beam. Righting moment equals displacement times half the beam. These boats balance beam-to-length ratio around 50 to 55% for stability without jerky motion in short swells. Dagger boards add safety. In gales, raise them and the boat slides down waves instead of tripping. For maximum speed and best weather work, Ultramare 52 or HH44. For expedition capability, anywhere on the planet including high latitudes and ice, Garcia Explicat 52, no contest. For couple-friendly, livable performance, Balance 482 or Seawind 1370. For pure sailing sensation and helm feel, Natec 44 Open or Katana 53. For fastest boat a couple can manage, Balance 526. For technological showcase with hybrid propulsion and energy autonomy, HH44. Crossing an ocean in a catamaran isn't about choosing the biggest or most expensive boat. It's about choosing the boat where every design decision assumes the same thing. Sooner or later, you'll be in conditions you didn't plan for. These 10 are built to get you through them and bring you home. If you've sailed any of these or spent real time aboard, I'd genuinely like to hear what actually matters offshore versus what specs suggest. That's where discussions get useful. And if you want more straight talk about boats, what works offshore, what matters in ownership, what separates real capability from marketing, subscribe. That's what this channel is for.